GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else, I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Yes! Evening, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Fantastic stuff. It's great to have you all on board. Thank you, everyone, at home and in the studio now. Now, Norway sends us a joke Christmas tree. Drivers now face fines for dressing as Santa. And a man needs hospital treatment for having a bomb stuck up his bum. This is Free Speech Nation. What's not to love? Hello everyone and welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Patrick Christys. As you can see, Andrew Doyle is taking the night off and I can tell that a lot of you feel very let down by that. In fact, I think it's fair to say I haven't disappointed this many men and women in one evening since the first time I went dogging. It's been a busy week. We're away. It's been a busy week in the weird and wonderful world of news. Employees have managed to find a new way of being offended in the workplace. Apparently, a campaign group called #MyNameIs thinks the mispronunciations of workers' names is a microaggression committed by bosses. They're calling for every single workplace to have phonetic name badges, so there's no excuse now for getting it wrong. Where I went to school, there were some people with challenging names, but for very different reasons. It's fair to say that we gave Mr. Boner a rather hard time. He'd had to go into teaching after he was rather unfairly cancelled by the Mr. Men book franchise. Anyway, and of course, there was this lad in the year below me, a dildo. I personally had very little to do with him, but in recent years, it turns out a lot of my female friends get on very well with a dildo. And in fact, they said he was very useful during lockdown. This week, also, the civil service was criticised for trying to educate its staff on trans issues using, get this, a genderbread man. I think we can see him. There he is. Look at that. So you love to see it. So as you can see, he's got a rainbow brain and every single piece of genitalia under the sun. Unfortunately, critics have said that the whole idea was a bit half-baked. I know, not my best. Not my best. All right, there's other stuff coming up. But anyway, right. Apparently, the civil service is using the help of a pro-trans group called Global Butterflies, who demand that companies have to show their trans credentials. So like the trans Stasi. Stop right there, boss of HSBC. Show me your pro-trans papers or we'll send you to the gulags. Which is ironic because I thought most trans men actually wanted to cut their gulags off. But anyway, there's been more COVID madness. Omicron, ladies and gents, which is a strain of the virus that as yet hasn't actually killed a single person. Well, it's meant that Boris Johnson is looking at bringing in more rules, more restrictions and more curtailments on our civil liberties. Apparently, our Prime Minister is going to decide whether or not he'll cancel Christmas on December the 18th. So, potentially, no family gatherings. No Father Christmas coming down the chimney. Which is strange, because I imagine Boris Johnson can relate to a man who lets himself into strangers' houses in the evening, empties his sack and then leaves. Anyway, one massive bone of contention has been about mask wearing. You can be fined hundreds, even thousands of pounds if you don't wear your mask on public transport. Most people have complied. Some people, like me, unfortunately, seem to forget to put one on a regular basis, while other people have engaged in quiet, civil disobedience. But not this lot. Take a look at this.
Do you know, wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. Wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. Wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. Wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. Wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. What is it like? It's like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. What?
Well, at least they're happy, anyway. So, as mandatory vaccinations are being brought in right across Europe, people have been left wondering why governments have been able to simply make the case, why they've not been able to make the case to their citizens that people should voluntarily get the jab. This is a video, I believe, from Australia, which is designed to convince people to do just that, and frankly, it might explain why.
Vaccine, just a little jab, don't worry, mate. It's not that bad. Small price to pay for proven protection that could save your ass from a COVID infection.
Yeah, science has done it again. A new solution to the mess.
That's just about enough of that, I think, isn't it? But this video actually led to a spate of people asking if it was possible to be devaccinated. But anyway, there we go. We've been moving away from whatever kind of horror show that was. We've been mugged off by the Norwegians yet again. Every year, Norway sends us a fir tree to place in Trafalgar Square to symbolise the kinship between our great country and their teeny tiny little pathetic one. For some reason, they obviously now hate us. Just take a look at this. I mean, I've never seen a Christmas tree with manic depression before, but there it is. Look at it, standing proud. That's the best the Norwegians could offer, apparently. But it got me thinking, why do we allow the Norwegians to treat us like this? So I've designed a new feature, ladies and gentlemen. It's called What the Flipping Heck Has Norway Ever Done For Us? That's great. Beautiful women. And that's it for Norway. So thank you very much, Norway. Really great to have you on board. Really appreciate all your efforts. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to the only ever episode of What the Flipping Heck Has Norway Ever Done For Us. But I've left an absolute classic of a Free Speech Nation topic for last this evening. Cambridge University's Wolfson College forced students to do a mandatory anti-racism class that was designed to introduce more tolerance and a more progressive, liberal attitude to the college. But now some students have leaked the mandatory anti-racism class idea with the press. And can anyone guess how the Students' Union might have reacted? Well, yes, that's right. They've launched a witch hunt vowing to find and ban the leakers from parts of the student life. A metaphorical burning at the stake of people who believe in a free press by a bunch of Maoist thugs in short trousers. You stay woke, Cambridge. You stay woke. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, everyone is in the studio. Thank you very much at home. Let's do this show. OK, well, look, coming up on Free Speech Nation tonight, should films now carry smoking warnings? So, it comes after the latest Beatles documentary series on Disney Plus came with a disclaimer that it contains images of people smoking. I mean, there were 60s rock stars, weren't they? So I'm very much surprised if it's only cigarettes that they're smoking, to be perfectly honest with you, but there we go. Are pubs racist? So locals, yeah, you heard, are pubs racist? Locals in a Scottish village are furious a brewery wants to rename its local because of claims it has a racist name. I think I've got to wait legally about another 20 minutes before I'm allowed to say that name on national television, but it's a good one. Anyway, that's all ahead. And with me in the studio this evening are the wonderful comedians Steve and Alan. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is. Hey! What a guy. What a mighty fine man. And, of course, the wonderful, the equally amazing is Leo Kearse. Hey! All right, what a welcome. Great to have you on board. Right, now, let's get straight to some of these audience questions, shall we? So I believe the first question is from Juliana, is that right? Where's Juliana?
Am I supposed to pretend like I'm asking this genuinely? Okay, I'm not sure how relevant this is for an all-white panel, but would you be offended if someone pronounced your name wrong?
Oh, would you be offended if someone pronounced your name wrong?
I mean, if you pronounce it through that mask, you'd probably sound too muffled to get it right. But yeah, like people have pronounced my name wrong, because I'm called Leo, which is a very esoteric name for Scotland. I was named after my star sign. My brother actually had it worse. He's called Sagittarius. But yeah, I don't think people should get offended if their names are pronounced wrong. And also, like, you know, how many countries are in the world? There's like at least 20. So, you know, there's lots of different dialects and languages and cultures. So we've all got different names. You know, if your name is made entirely of clicks, and you expect somebody from Dumfries to pronounce it correctly, you can't get upset when they click wrong. No. That's not fair. So yeah, people need to relax a bit and not worry about name pronunciation, and just correct the person when they say it wrong and when they say it wrong again.
Yes, and keep doing that on repeat until eventually one day they might accidentally get it right. But yes, well, obviously that was a good question. I think you're referring now, if I'm right, to obviously the campaign now for Race Equality Matters Group, which is essentially encouraging firms to include phonetic spellings of their names on emails and things like that. They say pronouncing a name incorrectly can be considered a microaggression and might show that you are minimal, apparently. Well, there we go. Well, Dave, I'll throw over to you on that.
Well, that's the thing. I've got the most standard name, surely. I mean, you can get Steve wrong if you've got a speech impediment. And in that case, if I'm upset about it, I'm the one in the wrong. Clearly, I need to be cancelled for being about that. And Alan is a surname. Look at that. No messing. No. In fact, I think it's the reason why my wife married me, because she had a Polish surname. And she was a little bit annoyed at having to... I mean, it was a strong Polish surname. It was also a strong Wi-Fi password, as it turns out. And, yeah, she spent all of her life having to explain how it's spelled down the phone, gets an Alan. I think that's the main reason she was attracted to me, and spends all of her time now going, no, it's two L's. No, it's E-N. But, yeah, surely, no, as long as it's not being done deliberately, like someone calling you Dave, when you know darn well.
Exactly.
You know darn well, sir. But, yeah, there's no reason to take offence. I mean, where do you draw the line at mispronouncing it? Whether it's an accent, just saying it differently to how you do, come on, you just... Surely to goodness, we can't get upset about our names. However, the phonetic-y bit, I'll have a bit of that. I love the idea of not having to try and work out how people are spelling their name. Give me, you know, the name badges are going to have to be big for some of them, but I'll take a slice of that.
No, absolutely. I mean, your surname is relatively unusual for me.
What, Kears?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because I always pronounce it Kerr, so I actually mispronounced your name right at the start.
Well, yeah, but there's some debate in my family about how it should be pronounced, so you'd fit in well at Christmas dinner. But yeah, if names are spelled phonetically, I'm going to be trying to filter that phonetic spelling through whatever I think the culture of the person is that's got that phonetic badge. So then I'm going to mispronounce the phonetic spelling wrongly.
You're going to end up doing the accent, and that is offensive.
That's when we get cancelled, isn't it, really? I think, so right. Well, the next question has come in on Twitter. And it's from Cal, I believe, I think it says. So it says, should you be fined, there it is, should you be fined £5,000 if you drive your car well dressed as Father Christmas? OK, just a bit of context here. So it was reported this week that motorists could be fined and given 9 points on their licence if their Christmas party outfit affects their ability to drive. Steve, I'll start with you on this first. Are you going to be planning on dressing up this Christmas?
No, because I'm not a child. So therefore, I mean, I'm not in favour of people being... There's no law against dressing up as...
Well, it turns out there might be.
But, so you can dress up however you want, it's if it impedes your driving. But if you notice, there's enough impeded drivers out there that how will you spot which ones are because of the beard and which ones are just because they drive a BMW? So
one on the back there, there you go.
He didn't tell me, but then again, they don't like indicating, so fair enough. So, no, I mean, grow up, but also, no, surely it's not going to stop anyone driving just because they're dressed as Father Christmas. This law obviously ends up making a mistake when you do try and give 3 points and a 60 quid fine to a sleigh that absolutely whoops it through the lights on one night. So you need to be careful of that.
Yeah. What are your views on this? Is this just a more big government?
It's more big government, more unwanted regulation and intrusion in our lives. Like, Santa manages to drive a sleigh at like 1,000,000 miles an hour in the sky. There aren't even any road signals or traffic lights while dressed as Santa Claus. So I think I can drive an Audi A3 through Chiswick dressed as Santa.
Yeah, I suppose, actually, yeah. I mean, you might as well be able to, or else a bit of a shelf.
I mean, he's got to control like about 12 reindeer as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's doing a lot of multitasking. He's got a very heavily laden car. He's got all the presents for all the good children.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's ridiculous.
Are you a fancy dress kind of guy?
Not really. I mean, no.
Could have thought.
I'm sorry I didn't come dressed as like a branch manager for some mobile phone shop.
I do.
Period. Oh, he's going to arrange my mortgage later. Fantastic.
Yeah, to be fair, I do look like I'm about to sell you a conservatory as we go. But, right.
Another fall down after a year.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. Another question, like me, really. Another question, this time from Sarah. Where's Sarah? Have we got lovely Sarah? Oh, that, right on the front row. OK, go on, what is it?
Do you think Mother's Day should be renamed Postnatal Persons Day?
Say that one again for us, Sarah. Go on, what was that?
Do you think Mother's Day should be renamed Postnatal Persons Day?
All right, OK, so, a bit of context. This is, I believe, anyway, after the Royal College of Midwives referred to postnatal people rather than mothers. This is chest feeders all over again, isn't it? Or mums on their website. They've since apologised, but only after a backlash on social media. Leo, I mean, what do you get your postnatal person for Postnatal People Day?
I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, we all know. All right, transgender men, so who were biologically female, have ovaries and all the gubbins you need to make a baby, but then transition to and present as a man. They're men, but they can have babies. But none of them are going to be like, you know, oh my God, I can't go into this hospital. They've referred to me. They know what's going on. Like, I mean, mothers, wives. I mean, they're actually called the Royal College of Midwives.
Yeah.
Like, why are they midwives? Why isn't it mid-people? People in partnerships.
Mid-spouse.
You know what I mean? Like, start at home. I think the whole thing is ridiculous. And I bet it's not driven by actual transgender people. It's driven by woke people who want to catch a couple of virtue signal points by getting offended on other people's behalf.
Go on, what's your take?
Well, sorry, I can't care either way on this story. Honestly, if you don't consider yourself to be a mother, you shouldn't be offended that they've said the phrase postnatal mothers. And also, if you are a woman and the word people has been used to define you, you are also people. I mean, that's not a controversial thing to say now, is it? You are also people.
But it's erasing womanhood from our lexicon.
Surely it's not. You're allowed to. I mean, I've said the word mother tonight. You're allowed to. Whether a pamphlet gets it wrong or not, you should probably care less. As long as you can still do it, you've got your freedoms. A pamphlet can get the word.
But if our official bodies are removing the words woman, mother, you know, things like that from the actual language we're allowed to use, that's driving the cultural use of language. This is like the Chinese Cultural Revolution.
But I think it's like, you know, the story of the train that said ladies and gentlemen, and there was some pushback against that. So you could say everyone. And if you do, you shouldn't be offended. But if you say ladies and gentlemen, you shouldn't be offended. I don't think either way of these, the small gaps of people who should be impacted by this, don't seem like there are bigger fish to fry, I guess, is my point on it. But obviously, I'm totally not impacted by this, as I'm none of the words I've just been talking about.
No, well, as a woman, I'm actually very impacted by it.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, there was that thing that blew up, didn't it, before or there will be actually talking about something later that did almost blow up in someone's backside, so I should probably be quite careful about this. But, you know, it did blow up, didn't it, before the Labour Party conference about whether or not men have a cervix.
Yeah.
But this is just biological fact, isn't it?
It upset me because the phrase was something like only women have cervixes. Yeah. And surely the plural is cervixes.
I thought that. I honestly thought that, and that shows what sad little men we really are.
Get it right. Cervices, matrices, indices, we all know the plurals.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to be really nerdy about it, I think, doesn't it just mean neck? It's the Latin for the word neck.
Right.
So that's why your glands under there are your cervical glands.
Right.
So everyone's got a cervix. Which is the easiest way to back out of that argument, is go a little bit Latin, everyone's got a neck, move on. Of course, then the letters I'll get from people without necks.
Oh, well, the no-neck community is massive at the moment, but yeah, when will it end?
They should really wind their neck in.
Hey, here he is. Come on, everyone, that's the best one we've had all night. Yeah, it's all right. So go on, we'll crack on. What's your take on whether or not men have a cervix?
I mean, men, genuinely, you know, transgender men can and will have a cervix. So...
Yeah. It's a minefield, this.
Yeah, men, it's not that much of a minefield, but we've got to understand that there's very few, you know, there's relatively few transgender men. And I don't think many transgender men are actually offended when they see something that says, men don't have cervixes, or I mean, although, it could be seen as a sort of confrontational thing to say, to try and, divide them away from biological males.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everybody, like Steve said, I mean, even though we're coming at it from slightly different sides, everybody needs to just relax a bit.
Yeah.
None of this is like an attack on anyone, and I can understand why women want to prevent their erasure from language.
Yeah, no, I can as well, absolutely. It just struck me as where is the feminism in all this? I've said it before, I'll say it again. Don't know if people threw themselves in front of horses so that a man with a penis could tell them what a woman is. I don't get that. I don't think that's a real thing. I don't really want to head down that direction as well. But anyway, we've got a question on Twitter from Tony. He says, what's the weirdest thing you've ever found up your backside? So, here we go. This is the story about the bomb squad, or should that be the bum squad, I suppose, who being called into a hospital after a man turned up with a World War II anti-tank shell in his rectum. So, we can see that there. Steve, what's the worst thing you've had up your bum?
You know darn well it's you. It's certainly... It's not that, but also his excuse of I was cleaning my argument, fell and landed. I've fallen a lot, and I've never ever landed with anything up the bottom. Maybe I'm just good at falling. Maybe that was the 3 weeks worth of judo training I did as a kid taught me to not land sphincter first. You really get the impact and absorb it. But I mean, I don't know if I'm legally allowed to say. Sure, he wasn't, was he? He was enjoying reenacting a battle.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Well, no, I mean, so basically, what this individual tried to claim once he got into hospital and had an X-ray was that he was like cleaning out his house, found a World War II anti-tank shell, put it on the ground, slipped and fell bum first onto it, and it just went up there. And I mean, that's amazing. Your take on this?
I don't really have a take on this, to be honest. No. But people always use. So my cousin's a doctor, and so she's removed a lot of different things from people's anuses.
This is going to be great.
But everybody comes in with the same story. It's like I climbed the step ladder in the kitchen to change a light bulb, and I was wearing a dressing gown, and then I slipped, and I somehow managed to catch half a tub of Flora margarine on the way down, and managed to lubricate and then I fell onto whatever root vegetable mortar bomb. Paid gigolo was on the kitchen floor at the time. So yeah, I just love the excuses. And there it is. There's bound to be one person out there who genuinely did slip and fall on a pineapple, and nobody believes them.
No, that's right. I think the biggest question is why the heck has he got a World War II anti-tank shell?
Is that the biggest question, though?
I think that's
kind of his bottom is the bigger question.
Yeah, I'd be concerned. There'd be two things I'd be concerned about there. There'd be the fact that it was where it was, and the fact that he owned one. I think is a bit of a tricky one for me. But look, anyway, thank you very much. It's a cracking way to start the show this evening. And after the break on Free Speech Nation, we'll ask if we really need a smoking warning on the new Beatles documentary. But first, here's the weather.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK is looking mostly cloudy with a band of rain pushing eastward, followed by sunshine and showers. Let's take a look at the details. A damp and cloudy start to the day in the southeast, with rain and drizzle spreading eastwards in the morning. This will be followed by brighter spells and blustery showers. Across the southeast, a dry but cloudy start, though rain will move in from the west throughout tomorrow morning, with heavy outbreaks at times. Across Wales, it will be a wet morning with outbreaks of rain and drizzle, some turning heavy, becoming drier and brighter into the afternoon. A cloudy start across the northeast of England with a band of rain pushing eastwards through the morning, with a chance of some hill snow and heavy bursts of rain at times. It will be mostly dry but cloudy at first across northeast England, though rain and drizzle will move in from the west throughout the morning, with some heavy outbreaks, particularly over high ground. A wet start to the week across southern Scotland with rain and hill snow. This will clear to the east later tomorrow and followed by bright spells and blustery showers. After tonight's rain clears to the east, there will be a mixture of bright spells and blustery showers across Northern Ireland tomorrow morning. These showers will be heavy at times. A generally unsettled start across the UK with outbreaks of rain for most and hill snow in the north at first. And that is how the weather is shaping up during tomorrow morning.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else, I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
There we go. We're back. We're back. I've not been cancelled just yet. Anyway, so would it shock you all to learn that the Beatles used to smoke? I know. Well, according to Disney Plus, people who watch their new 8-hour documentary on the Fab Four think viewers need to be warned that John, Paul, George and Ringo liked a cigarette. So, yes, this is what will appear now on the screen ahead of each episode. So the series was directed by Peter Jackson, who's called it a film about chain smokers with guitars who play songs. So, good stuff from old Peter there, I suppose. But anyway, the footage is from more than 50 years ago, when almost half the UK population smoked. So does Disney really have to put up a warning? Or are they right to worry that people could be influenced by the behaviour of what is widely regarded as the greatest band of all time? Well, to discuss this story now, I'm joined by Christopher Snowdon from the Institute of Economic Affairs. There he is. Fantastic stuff, Chris. Look, what's your take on this? Do you need a trigger warning before you see someone having a fag?
Not personally. I wonder who does, really. I mean, what's the idea? That there's going to be some people who'll be so shocked by this, presumably children, that they'll be advised not to ever watch anything that's got smoking in it. I don't really know. It seems to me a kind of a bit of an American thing, really. I do, to be fair, give them a bit of leeway. I understand that this is the first program shown on Disney Plus that's had any swearing in it. It's pretty family-friendly American station, so maybe they're being ultra careful. But yeah, it does seem to fit into a wider issue, which is trying to put tobacco completely out of sight. Obviously, we've got the display ban in the UK and some other countries. We've got the ban on packaging, the plain packaging policy, and there have been times every now and again you hear cases, again, usually in America, where the past has been rewritten in some way, that Isambard Kimball Brunel's cigar has been airbrushed out of a photo. There was an instance with Robert Johnson, the great blues guitarist. For many years, there was only one photo of Robert Johnson. They found another one a few years ago. But for many years, it was just a photo of him with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. And when the US Post made a commemorative stamp, they actually airbrushed that out. So it does happen from time to time. But no, I don't personally feel particularly offended by it. I also noticed there was drinking in the documentary too.
Well, I
There's
think
no
that's the
warning.
very least, isn't it, Christopher? I mean, I think if we get away with a documentary that's 8 hours long of the Beatles and the only vices that it shows is someone having a cigarette and someone having a beer, then they've probably airbrushed it out a little bit, haven't they? Let It Be an H is the strap on the show at the moment now. And they really do earn their money. It's like the same people who write the Sun's headlines, isn't it, really? But are smokers being demonised in this country now? You used to be able to go down to your local pub, order a meal, sit next to someone else who'd order a meal and chain smoke through it so that you ruined it for them. And now you've got to go outside the pub, stand in the rain. You're not even allowed to have branded cigarettes, which is one of the few joys of the cigarette packets. Instead, you're confronted by someone with a tumour on their neck. Really, are smokers being demonised, Chris?
Yeah, they have been for a long time. And the smoking ban, which is now, 14 years old, that was the first really big step, I think. Up until then, we'd seen increasingly exorbitant taxation on tobacco, and there was, of course, the advertising ban and so on, and a lot of anti-smoking education, and it was definitely becoming more and more stigmatized. But the smoking ban, I think, was a real breakthrough moment. After that, it was kind of just a non-stop deluge and has been ever since. There's so many policies come in. I think a pack of cigarettes cost about £13 now. It's an incredible price that people have to pay. We've got the smoking rates down. It's gone down from about 21, 22% when the smoking ban came in. It's now down to 14%. Although I think a lot of that is mostly the switch to vaping, which of course has been the big thing that's come along in the meantime. But for people who still want to smoke, life is pretty miserable, particularly at this time of year. And of course, we had this week talk about outdoor smoking bans, which would be yet another kick in the teeth. If you can't smoke indoors and you can't smoke outdoors, life does become pretty tricky.
No, it does indeed. You end up just, needing new curtains in your flat every 6 months or something like that, presumably. It's the only place you'd ever be allowed to smoke, depending on your lease agreement, of course, I would imagine. But I was going to bring my panel in now, I think, really, and just see if you guys have got anything that you'd like to offer up to Christopher on this particular thing. Leo, do you think smokers are being demonised? What's your view on all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think smokers are being demonised, but they're being demonised by nature, which is killing them with cancer. So,
and how dare it?
They're already suffering. I think I'd be more worried if a documentary showed vaping, to be honest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want my kids to vape. Because I'm pretty sure, have you seen vapes? They're a little metal. Yeah. It's just getting us ready to suck robot penises.
Right.
In 50 years' time, when they take over.
When the AI...
Yeah, they missed that out of Terminator 2, but it's going to happen.
Terminator 2 After Dark, that one. Steve, you struck me as a man who's never had a cigarette in his life.
That's right. With a voice like this, I can't afford to. I never liked smoking. I will say, vaping people, you still smoke.
Vapors.
Yeah, no, they smoke. There's nothing more annoying than someone who goes, I quit smoking last year. Oh, wow, and they're after the praise of the well done, the willpower. What'd you do? Oh, I vape now. Oh, that's roughly the same thing. You just swapped the verb. That's all you've done. That's like saying I quit drinking. I just inject it straight into the vein. Where's my praise? So vapors, it smells better. It smells like I've sneezed into an Angel Delight.
Yeah.
But that was meant to be a nice image, and yet that's disgusting even more than the cancer reference. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind smokers being demonised at all. What I don't need to see is a warning on the way into a Beatles documentary.
No.
But there might be smoking. As if you didn't know that the Beatles might have enjoyed a substance, you're not going to start by watching that documentary.
No,
simple as that.
No, it's true. I believe, have we still got Chris? Is Chris there? Is Chris still there? Hopefully he's vaping. He does that a bit now, I think.
He stepped
Come on,
out.
Chris, bring him back. He stepped out for a quick time. Yes! Good lad, fantastic. Look, do you think that realistically, though, even though smoking is bad for you and you certainly shouldn't encourage it to children, but the fact is, though, that if you're being priced out the market and tax on it, is that really fair?
On smokers, no, man, I don't think so. I think there's a justification for having extra tax on tobacco because there are costs associated with it. But the £13 a pack, it's incredible that anybody pays that. And now we're out of the EU, of course, it's much more difficult. I mean, I gave up smoking 10 years ago, but back then I would bring a lot of cigarettes back legitimately for personal consumption from the EU. And you could afford to pay for the entire week in Spain with the money that you saved from getting the cheapest cigarettes. So yeah, I find it amazing, really, that anybody still buys cigarettes in this country. But of course, you haven't got a lot of chance of leaving this country over the last 18 months or so. So I suppose that's dampened down the kind of grey market. But we've seen tobacco taxes go up as a result of that, incidentally, which gives you an idea of how big that grey and black market is. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm a defender of smokers' rights and obviously vapors' rights. And I do think the two are very different, by the way, and certainly from a health perspective. But it just seems like smokers is constantly being banged over the head, and in a way, you have to admire their sturdiness in continuing. I think there's about 7 or 8 million smokers left in England.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to suddenly quit now after everything that's been thrown at them for the last 20 years.
No, you'd have to do something particularly special, wouldn't you? Is there an argument? People go, oh, you should give up smoking. You should give up smoking as the burden to the NHS, you know. And I think, don't smokers in a way pay for their own NHS treatment with the amount of tax that they get landed with?
They don't just pay for their own; they pay for a couple of non-smokers as well. Really.
Oh, they're
so
doing their so it's your civic duty to go outside now and have a fag. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just giving you the facts, which are, according to the anti-smoking groups, the healthcare costs associated with smoking are about £3 billion a year. Tobacco duty brings in 10, 11 billion pounds, I think, still. So yeah, no, the reality is that non-smokers are being subsidised by smokers. And if we get rid of smoking altogether, we'll just have to find something else to tax. I'll probably go for vape, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it does make me laugh actually sometimes when people go, look, you need to put a mask on to protect people's health, and you see some people, wheeling themselves around in a mobility scooter, spilling out all over it, chain smoking. They've got a kind of special brew in one hand. And you think, have I got my mask on for you? Really, is that really where we are now? Have you ever smoked, Leo?
I was going to ask why you went to Glasgow. Yeah, I used to smoke. I actually quit. I lived in Vancouver, which is it was woke before woke was invented. So it was very health conscious, and I quit there. I used the gum. I mean, I don't think smoking is good. Also, I'd query Christopher's claim that smokers subsidise non-smokers.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of duty raised by tax, but I think as a society, having a subset that are sort of damaging their own health, I just don't see how that can be a benefit to wider society as a sort of holistic look.
Yeah, fair enough. It's an interesting point, I suppose. Yes, it is. But, well, look, thank you very much, Christopher. By the way, it was Christopher Snowden there from the Institute of Economic Affairs. I think we can give him a round of applause on the way out, even though he's not here. Giving his hot take on smoking Britain. Well, look, up next on Free Speech Nation, we'll talk to the doctor who was told to stop using social media for claiming the government were lying about the pandemic. All that and more coming your way.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, later in the show, I'm going to turn agony uncle with the help of my panel, Leo Kearse and Steve N. Allen, which is a terrifying thought, I think, for all concerned. But anyway, to help you deal with your unfiltered dilemmas, right? So email us, you know the drill by now, everybody. gbviews@gbnews.uk, and we will try to answer some of your issues. And I imagine, unequivocally, undoubtedly, sort your entire life out. So there's no doubt about that. But anyway, earlier this week, a Hampshire GP successfully overturned a decision by the General Medical Council to temporarily ban him from social media. So the GMC originally issued the ban over concerns that Dr. Sam White was spreading misinformation online. A video posted in June showed Dr. White questioning the efficacy of vaccines and masks. But the High Court found that this ban was unlawful and in breach of human rights law. This has caused many to weigh up the balance between free speech and the potential spread of misinformation. Let's be honest, that's where we are. Well, it's my absolute pleasure, ladies and gents, to say that Dr. Sam White joins me now, along with the writer and commentator John Gaunt. It's going to be a bit of a battle royale. Thank you very much. Dr. Sam, I suppose congratulations are in order, by the way. You're back at it. Are you still technically considered a spreader of misinformation? It's just that spreading misinformation is fine now? Or what is it? What's the actual official verdict?
Well, we should talk about what misinformation is in this age of scientism, because who gets to decide that? Apparently, it's the fact checkers. It's not necessarily peer-reviewed literature. It's not necessarily people who are experts in their field. It's the government's agenda. And since the Coronavirus Act was introduced early last year, I've had reason, plausibly as a medical practitioner for 17 years, to question every aspect of it, based initially on what I was seeing and then what I was realizing through what was coming through in terms of the vaccines and everything else. Everything that I said in my video and more was said to the NHS and to the General Medical Council in writing at the end of last year, because every 5 years a doctor needs to relicense, and I was approved to be relicensed based on all of what I said. The same person.
Just tell us all. Sorry to interrupt, but just recap for us now, okay, succinctly. What exactly it is that got you in hot water? People at home, people might not have seen this video. Just tell us exactly what it is that people had a problem with.
I called out issues about PCR testing, particularly in asymptomatic people. A test that's now to be withdrawn by the CDC, the Drosten test, it's not fit for purpose. It's often run at high cycle thresholds. If you test asymptomatic people, you're simply going to get false positives. Those people are people we used to call well people, people who didn't have a disease or condition, people who didn't need to be locked in their home for no reason. I also talked about safe, available therapeutics. Because the truth about COVID-19, and we know this from the literature and other countries around the world, is this is a very treatable disease. There's plenty of treatments available, but what did NHS England do? They closed the doors of GP surgeries, allowing people their first point of access to the NHS, instead of allowing their rightful access to treatments in the community to prevent them from getting sick and ending up needing to go into hospital. And that can include very simple things before we get onto ivermectin or anything else, like vitamin D. The vast majority of patients who were dying severely deficient of vitamin D.
All right. Well, look, we'll park that there. I'm aware there's other stuff. I want to bring John in now. John, I just wanted to get a full outline for people, really, of what Dr. Sam was saying. What's your take on all of this, then? I understand that you have a different understanding of reality.
I don't have a great difference of opinion with him. He was spreading some fake information, and he's come over as very reasonable. Let me just quote some of the things he said.
Okay.
And this was in the court case. Masks do nothing. He says he could no longer tolerate or stomach the lies of the government. So he's coming over tonight saying to you he didn't really say much. Actually, he spoke as if he was auditioning to get a job on GB News. He wouldn't have been out of place. I'm just being honest with his cynicism and scepticism. Perfectly okay for you to say these things, or Dolan, or indeed the great man Dan and Neil Oliver. I don't think it's right for a doctor. A doctor should say, this is my view, and he should present the other side. Now, we've got some perfect examples on GB News. The Positive Professor, Carol Sikora, Yes, he believes in one thing, but he puts forward the other perspective. Dr. Aseem Malhotra, esteemed cardiologist. Now he's got very big worries at the moment about maybe some diseases linked with the vaccine. But he's not saying it's definite.
No.
He's saying we've got to look for more evidence. So I think the good doctor isn't really telling the whole truth. Now, that said, I think the General Medical Council basically knee-jerked on this. And of course, the irony is in this discussion, again on GB News, and with me arguing it, is it's about free expression. And they didn't put that into their consideration of the doctor's position. The doctor didn't win the court case. It's wrong to interpret as that. He won on I think I've got the quote here again, on procedural, purely on a procedural perspective. Okay. The judge, God bless him, he didn't turn around and say, actually, that was okay, that's not okay. He said it wasn't for him to judge. Now, whether the GMC will bring this again, I don't know. I just really wish, Patrick, it hadn't got to this stage. And let's also say, he did recommend ivermectin, or whatever it's called, and the other one, which do not help with COVID. So
well, do they then? Well, let's ask that with respect, John. I understand, John, that you've and I've been following on Twitter for a very long time. You've had a couple of big health kicks of your own, and that's great. But last time I checked, you weren't actually a medically qualified doctor. So, Dr. Sam, do ivermectin and this not actually have anything to do with helping you if you've got COVID?
Yes, so ivermectin in particular, it blocks the blinding of the spike protein, which is the one of 27 proteins in the coronavirus. And the spike protein is the pathogenic component, that which is used in the vaccines. That's why I had a lot of concerns. And it also has an effect as an anticoagulant.
How many doctors agree with you? Or scientists? It's a minority,
John,
isn't it?
Have a look.
Well, have we hit on a problem here now? See, this is the thing, both of you. All right, but is this the thing, both of you, isn't it? Because you asked the question there, perfectly reasonable, John. How many doctors agree with you? And the implication there is that maybe not that many. But as far as Dr. Sam's concerned, he's almost been silenced very nearly from actually having a view like that. So we might never know how many doctors around the world agree with him, John.
He's not been silenced because...
All right, one at a time. John, you go first, and then Sam, I'll let you come in.
Sorry?
John, you go first, and I'll let Sam.
I don't think he should be silenced, Patrick. I don't think he should be silenced. I just think he should be a little bit more balanced in what he originally said, which he obviously has come to the same conclusion, because what he told you tonight is not what he says in the video. I watched it this afternoon. It's not the same. I'm sorry.
OK, Dr. Sam, look, I'm going to focus that question on you in terms of, do you feel as though there are vast swathes of the medical community who want to say something but can't because actually we don't live in a free speech nation?
I do, and there's this perpetuation of fear. I mean, I was made out to be an example case, much in a sort of Stalinist-esque era where I must have a mental health problem, and we have the recording of that. There is evidence-based literature, peer-reviewed literature. Go onto my website, drsamwhite.com. You'll hear from expert Dr. Peter McCullough. He's one of the most published doctors in the world. 650 publications that man has done. And we talk about why this vaccine should be withdrawn, okay? And we talk about the evidence-based treatment. Look at the evidence-based consultancy firm. Dr. Tess Lawrie wrote to the MRHA asking for these vaccines to be withdrawn. On the yellow card data alone, we have nearly 1,800 deaths. The majority of deaths we know from science, the majority of deaths we know occur within the first 48 hours. So 50% in the first 48 hours.
All right.
The rest...
All right, that'll do for now. Because, John, John, I'm quite desperate to get your take on something here, which is whether or not you feel as though mandatory vaccinations should be a thing. Because if there are any potential issues with this jab, surely no government anywhere can be demanding that its citizens gets it.
Is that a question to me, Patrick?
John, yes.
Yeah. OK. Well, number one, I've had both my vaccines and the booster, and I would recommend everybody else to do that. And I see Alistair Stewart today on GB News was saying exactly the same, and many other presenters are. Of course you should get vaccinated. You should be part of it. There should be no need for mandatory vaccination if everybody got off their backside and actually did it, did their duty.
All
and
governments made the case
they
for
lived in I haven't finished, that they lived in a thing called society. So they should have done it. However, if it comes to mandatory, I haven't really got a problem because you know what? This is a pandemic, this is dangerous, and spreaders of fake news, which the doctor is veering towards. He could have used less emotional argument if he was a doctor, right? That's what he should have done. He's out of order what he did in that video. He knows it himself because he's not now repeating the words he used in the video. Are you, doctor?
Well, very quickly, have you rode back?
I'm more than happy to repeat the words in that video. If people would like to read, for instance, the first couple of pages of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s book on Dr. Fauci, someone who's been very supportive of my case, I should add, they'll find that everything is very, very verifiable from what I said in my original video. Likewise, my whistleblowing.
But why didn't you use more temperate language in the video? And when Patrick asked you tonight, what did you say? What did you get pulled up on? You said something different. You made yourself sound really reasonable.
All right, well, both of you, it's not just, I'm afraid
it's not on Twitter because you're banned.
I'm afraid it's not just you two shouting at each other. I'm getting shouted at quite loudly as well by now that I need to get a move on and wrap up. But both of you, thank you very much. Dr. Sam White there, of course, and commentator John Gaunt. Both of those fantastic stuff. Yeah. We like a little bit of a ding-dong battle here, don't we? It certainly wakes you up in an evening. But look, up next on Free Speech Nation, Steve and Leo will argue whether Christmas parties are a good or a bad thing, and I'll be making sure there's no mistletoe in this studio. But now it's time for the weather.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK is looking mostly cloudy with a band of rain pushing eastward, followed by sunshine and showers. Let's take a look at the details. A damp and cloudy start to the day in the southeast, with rain and drizzle spreading eastwards in the morning. This will be followed by brighter spells and blustery showers. Across the southeast, a dry but cloudy start, though rain will move in from the west throughout tomorrow morning, with heavy outbreaks at times. Across Wales, it will be a wet morning with outbreaks of rain and drizzle, some turning heavy, becoming drier and brighter into the afternoon. A cloudy start across the northeast of England with a band of rain pushing eastwards through the morning, with a chance of some hill snow and heavy bursts of rain at times. It will be mostly dry but cloudy at first across northeast England, though rain and drizzle will move in from the west throughout the morning, with some heavy outbreaks, particularly over high ground. A wet start to the week across southern Scotland with rain and hill snow. This will clear to the east later tomorrow and followed by bright spells and blustery showers. After tonight's rain clears to the east, there will be a mixture of bright spells and blustery showers across Northern Ireland tomorrow morning. These showers will be heavy at times. A generally unsettled start across the UK with outbreaks of rain for most and hill snow in the north at first. And that is how the weather is shaping up during tomorrow morning.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk. Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Right, we're back. I've still not yet been hooked. Amazing stuff. I know. Anyway, this part of the show is called Devil's Advocate. So our panellists attempt to juggle a few hot potatoes of the day. Now, this week, our big question is, with how many companies cancelling their Christmas dues because of the Omicron variant, are Christmas parties actually good or bad? Well, first up, claiming that they're good, is Leo Curse. Go on, mate. Make your case.
Christmas parties are amazing. I can't believe anybody wouldn't like them. You've worked hard for this company all year, making them loads of money. Finally, you get to milk some of that back by drinking warm beer and eating overly small mince pies. That's fantastic. You're allowed to have a legitimate hangover the next day. Nobody's going to judge you when you rock in at 11:30. What more could you want? You can photocopy your own anus. Tell me another time of the year when that's acceptable. They're brilliant. They're also the last bastion of sexual harassment, where Brits can enjoy some good old-fashioned goosing. And we've got to be honest. I mean, all right, so it might be unpleasant for some people, but it is the only way. The only way British people can procreate is by getting drunk and then making really, badly formed passes at each other. So it's essential for the continuation of the British species. And if you're a woman, you get to enjoy destroying a man's career by whinging to HR that somebody tried to grope you under some mistletoe while you're dressed as Britney Spears. So that's got to be fun. Also with the Omicron variant coming round, it's a classic example to get all your colleagues into a sort of a tightly packed room and spread Omicron around them, so the more elderly, more senior members of staff get killed off, and you get a chance of career progression. That's useful. And also, if you do actually get coronavirus, the Christmas parties are close enough to Christmas that you can actually cancel Christmas with your family and enjoy it instead. So let's hear it for Christmas parties.
Right. Well, that's one case. That's one case, definitely. Right. Now, of course, we have to have what's called balance. So now arguing against Christmas parties is Steve and Alan. Make your case.
They should all be cancelled.
Right.
And this is not just because we've had some politicians speaking about not snogging under the mistletoe, which actually, interestingly, hearing politicians use the word snog has cured me of the urge to snog for at least a few months. Dominic Raab said that he wasn't going to tell people who to kiss. Shame he didn't think of doing some of that when Matt Hancock was nearby. but now we're at this Omicron variant is probably not the reason to cancel Christmas parties. It's just a darn good excuse. They are fundamentally flawed. Through the rest of the year, you only spend your social time with people you like to socialise with. And yet, for one night a year, we decide that you want to spend your time with people they literally have to pay you to know. Why would you want to spend time with these people? These secret Santa rubbish things that happen in offices, that should be banned. That is just more work to do. And maybe it's just the offices I went to, always ended up with people secretly buying sex toys for other people. I don't know, by the looks of it, it is just the offices I went to.
It might be.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing, if every other time of the year, if you buy a receptionist something that's blow up, you've got to make yourself down to HR. And yet, for some reason, everyone's allowed to get Larry. And yes, we do need to mention the fact that they are super spreader events. Again, not necessarily of COVID, just everything else. If you want to help out the NHS, maybe reduce the number of people who turn up with clap the next day. So I'm very much in favour of getting rid of the... Because, look, it is all part of the... And I'm probably willing to admit, this is actually why we've ended up with lockdowns. There's only one conspiracy you should pay attention to. It's that we introverts, and I very much am one, have decided to cancel all this stuff. We've slowly got ourselves into government positions, which is difficult because we do not network. And we've managed to get us into a situation where you get to wear a mask out in public, no parties, you don't have to touch people. Come on, this is what we've wanted all along. Are there any introverts in, would be the most pointless question I could say out loud to people. So finally, we've managed to find a way of getting rid of this. It's like I made a wish on a Zoltar machine, basically, yeah. So just stay home and not be anywhere near people. That is my case.
Hey, wow, there you go. There you go. I'm just going to take a quick survey of the audience, really, and a round of applause for Leo if you think that he won that particular argument. Anyone? All right. What's in it for Steve, ladies and gents? It's exactly about 50-50, actually. It was, genuinely. It's almost like we planned it, which, of course, we didn't. Clearly here, nothing is planned. So, there we go. But, I mean, Leo, there is a very real chance that if you go to your office Christmas party, you might just get sacked.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, isn't it?
And who wants a job? You know, with the labour market opening up, you can move to another job. Like it's going to be fine. Workers are now in demand after years of wage deflation. You know, we're now a hot commodity. So yeah, get sacked, move on to something better.
Is really the reason for you, Steve, that you don't want to go is because too many of your colleagues would be desperate to kiss you under the mistletoe?
Not actually, in no way because I'm attractive, because I work in the media. You meet someone once and they think it's a hug and a kiss situation.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Steve. So I'm in the wrong industry for that, to be fair.
So, have you ever had any Christmas party shockers? We've only got about 30 seconds to keep it brief. Although I imagine that was maybe one of them.
Yeah, no, I've never done anything at a Christmas party that I should even mention.
No, certainly not on national television. No, that's all right, that's all right. Leo, you strike me as a man who definitely has had a couple of shockers.
Yeah.
So, it's 8 o'clock. Good stuff. All right, well, we'll leave that very much there. Thank you very much for both those people for giving their take on whether or not to have Christmas parties. My view is we should all just crack on, but at the end of the day, that's probably why I'm not in power. Anyway, it's coming up now to 8 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching Free Speech Nation with me, Patrick Christie's, and I'll be back in a tick. Woo! Right, we really are back in a tick. So my panel today, Leo Kurz and Steve and Alan, will be with me until 9 p.m. OK, so let's get back to some big questions. First, one of them is from Paul. So thank you very much, Paul, who's tweeted in. Probably inspired by my monologue, no less. Everyone usually is. Would you be happy if you got a dead tree as a gift? Yeah, so this is about the latest offering from Norway, the spruce in Trafalgar Square that looks like it's got manic depression. So, so droopy, actually, it looks like it's had 12 pints. I like it. So, Leo, if someone sent you that as a gift, presumably you just disown them as a friend, would you?
Well, no, I mean, I'd be like, do you know how big my living room is?
Yeah.
Because the
well,
ceiling...
If it fits you in it, mate.
But yeah, I mean, this could be an attempt by the Norwegian government to save on fossil fuels by using last year's tree.
Yes, well, I suppose, yeah. I mean, actually, there is something, you know, with the whole COP26 stuff. Essentially, Norway now volunteers to cut a tree down and presumably ship it over here, which isn't great. But
yeah.
I mean, should we now just disown the Norwegians? They clearly hate us.
Well, no, they clearly want us to stop getting a tree from them. I've never seen a more passive-aggressive tree in my life. Every year we have to give them one. Buy your own tree is written on the bottom of it in Norwegian.
It's so true, isn't it? It's almost like they just want us to stop.
Yeah. How do you get rid of? How do you break this relationship? Send over that one. What? The one that was waiting for recycling? Yeah, send that over to them.
They'll never ask for another one. They'll have too much national self-respect to ask for another one. There's no way they'll do that. What's one of the worst Christmas presents you've ever had?
My mum got me a placemat, a single placemat, this plastic placemat. It was strange when I was a teenager. I didn't even have, like, a flat I could eat dinner off. I lived in her house because I was 14. So it was bizarre. But she always said she never knew what to get me for Christmas. But for some reason, she never realised not a placemat.
No. What about you? You got any bad ones?
I get annoyed when people buy aftershave during the bearded phase because I'm not sure what they think I'm shaving. They can tell it's not my face, and you don't put aftershave on the other bits.
You can't?
No, never again.
I want to know what you're shaving. This is...
Well...
Getting ready for the Christmas party.
Yeah, we'll photocopy it. So,
Just get stuck on there with suction.
Just an outline of mistletoe in the small stubble.
Oh, good gosh. Maybe that's what Therese Coffey was saying when she went, don't go underneath that. But anyway, right. We've got a question here from Emily, I believe. So this is a tweet earlier this week. Is it all right? This is a tweet earlier this week which can can show you shortly. That joked about naming the new variants after girls in the song Mambo No. 5. Oh, yes, I can't remember this one now. So someone didn't see the funny side of this, and they replied, and create conditions for misogyny to flourish. Well thought through. There was another word at the end of that, but it is still far too early for that. So what do you take, Leo, on the idea of naming? I think we should judge up the name of the COVID variants, because actually, so Omicron, right, is a Greek word. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a Greek word.
It's a letter in the Greek alphabet.
Now, our competitors, right, Sky, decided that they were going to have a big discussion, a big roundtable discussion about exactly how you pronounce Omicron. And at no point did they ask anyone Greek, right? So you ended up, they decided on Omicron. And it's like, well, it's not. Forgive me, it's not. Surely you just go to just one Greek man sat there. How do you pronounce that? It's Omicron. Right, see you in a bit. See you next week. Do you think we should judge up the names?
Yeah, I mean, we seem to. I think they've picked the Greek alphabet because the names get more ominous as you move forward through. We're already at the sort of Transformer baddie level. Next variant is going to be Terminator 2, then RoboCop, and then Hellraiser, I think, is the final, the end-level baddie. So it's trying to scare people into following the lockdown rules more and buying more of the government products. I mean, sorry, vaccines and PPE.
Right. Well, we know where you're at. So, yes, what do you think? Should we judge it up? What would you like to see the new variants called?
I mean, I think we might have peaked Greek alphabet-wise. There aren't any better ones. It's annoyed that we didn't call it new, but they presumed we were all idiots, and we would have been idiots. I would have loved to sit in a pub and someone saying, "Oh, I'm worried about that new variant." And they're like, "Oh, no, that was the old one. It's the new one you need to worry about." It would have been like an Abbott and Costello sketch for the rest of our lives. I've also, because this has taught me about the Greek alphabet. I didn't really know that much about it. Pi, that's going to be fun. Everyone likes pi variant. Ooh, I'll have a bit of that. But there's one called Upsilon, which I like that because it feels like that would be an accident. Yeah. You know, when oops, Upsilon, I made another variant. How dare I?
I'd love to see them use the police. You know, the police phonetics for, Juliet Bravo. I want the Juliet Bravo variant. I'd be scared of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. I think we'd all would be. Anyway, right, time for another question. This one is from Peter. I believe Peter's in the audience. Go on, Peter.
Should fellow students get a say in deciding who else can enrol?
OK, so this is actually the Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty, wasn't he? Instead of the Kyle Rittenhouse, just Kyle Rittenhouse, was found not guilty of homicide charges earlier this month after being charged with killing 2 men and injuring a third in Wisconsin. So he's now chosen not to re-enrol at Arizona State University amid student protests on campus. And look, we've seen all this before, haven't we, loads of times. Steve, I'll mix it up. I'm going to come to you second. This time, I'll let you come first.
I refer you to my earlier comments about what I discovered up there. Look, I think this is one of those situations where if you disagree with the law, then try and change the law. Don't be trying to have the control over the secondary effects. Whether you think it was the right or wrong verdict for the court case, it's more about the way the law was based out there. They effectively had to try and prove a negative, prove that someone wasn't fearful for their life. You can't do that. So if you've got an issue with the way that the results that law brings about, protest to change the law, but don't decide that you're better than the law and try and ruin someone's university career. So, no, I mean, I don't think fellow students should have a say. Of course, everyone gets the right to have a protest. But if you are having that much control over someone else's life, maybe you need to rein your neck in a bit.
Okay, Leo?
Yeah, absolutely. The students should not be complaining about this American hero coming to their university. They should be putting on a parade for him. It shows where the left are, that a Hispanic teenager can shoot a white paedophile who's attacking him. And for some reason, the Hispanic teenager is the bad guy instead of the white paedophile who's attacking him. So, I mean, I think Kyle Rittenhouse, the great thing about the legal system is that, the systemic wokeness that's infected so much of academia, as we see with the universities and big tech and government and everywhere else, in the court, they're not interested in people's personal truth. They're interested in the absolute objective truth. So they found Kyle Rittenhouse innocent.
There's been a lot of cases of similar stuff like this happening in terms of being banned from campus or protests on campus, etc. Milo Yiannopoulos, for example, was doing his big tour and basically was getting hounded off every campus. Now, regardless of what you think the merits or otherwise of Milo Yiannopoulos are, well, we are called Free Speech Nation, and surely there has to be the right to free speech. I'm concerned in this country, for example, now that if you don't have the right view, if you don't kind of subscribe to the right ideology or the right, kind of mindset about things, you can just get cancelled and banned as well. We see it semi-often, don't we? I mean, I think it was Cambridge Students' Union cancelling Amber Rudd on International Women's Day, for example. That's not a great look, is it? I mean, are you concerned now that free speech on campus is just dead?
It's heading that way. And look, whenever I'm brought in here, I'm always the token person of the left to be generally hated.
Job.
Thank you.
Dance for me.
But you can't win an argument if you refuse to take part in it. So even my side of this argument just gets silenced by my side, who goes, "No, I'm not having any of that near the campus. No one should get to talk about these issues. How dare you even speak of this?" No, get stuck in. You're never going to win unless you actually. I mean, it's perfectly okay as well to disagree with someone without then trying to end their career. Leo, for example, I won't be trying to no platform you and end your career. How's the career going, by the way? Have you got a career?
I'll tell you, Steve, I'm on this with you.
Yeah. Looks like I have ruined your career then. Sorry about that.
Fantastic. Right, well, look, are you concerned about the fact that when you no-platform people, I'm worried that it's going to breed a nation of little weaklings, right, where they're incapable of having an argument, incapable of having a disagreement. I mean, in fact, we might as well all just move to France.
Yeah, democracy, I don't think it's that bad yet, but democracy, and also they don't seem to take that many refugees, but democracy and society... Democracy and society, free society, is based on free debate. You know, the bad ideas perish in daylight. You know, if we silence people, we push them to the fringes. Those ideas are going to pop up in unpleasant places. So yeah, it's vital that we've got free debate, particularly universities and scientific institutions where science is a process, not an absolute. You know, academia should be fine. And the whole thing about progressive ideas is they progress. So progressives always act as if, like, right now we've found the absolute, complete moral standard that we must follow, even though they know that in like a month's time it's going to be different. So we've got to allow the debate and the freedom to discuss.
Yeah, well, we're kind to agree with you. Anyway, time for one more, I believe, from Ben on Twitter. Would you use a fake arm to avoid a medical procedure? There's a touch of the Diego Maradonas about this, isn't there? But anyway, so an Italian man, in case you missed this, who wanted a COVID vaccination certificate without actually getting the jab, turned up for his vaccine with a fake arm, and well, he got caught. Obviously, I imagine. I mean, that would. I know. I sometimes on my normal show To The Point, check it out 9:30 till 12 every single weekday. Is actually that I don't. I tend to go after the GPs somewhat. I think we'd be in a dire strait of affairs, wouldn't we, if we thought a GP couldn't spot a fake arm? That would be. Even I don't think the GPs are quite that bad. Leo, would you ever do something like this to avoid a medical procedure?
I don't know. I mean, isn't it just easier to just not... I mean, the way I got around not having a vaccine was I caught coronavirus, which gives me immunity for 6 months. So that was worth nearly dying.
Did it get hold of you? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had it.
Was it bad though?
It was quite bad. It was like a bad flu.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm still here.
Back at it now.
Yeah. Well, there's a new variant apparently, but yeah, like, I mean, I respect this guy. I wonder how many people with fake arms actually made it through, because this is like drug smuggling. They only catch 8%. The other people are just walking out of there with their, this is where the Christmas party costumes come in handy. You're dressed as a fake ostrich, you're getting it in, some appendage that's not part of you.
Yeah. I'm not sure he's doing many favours for people who don't want to get the vaccine, though, and try to claim that they're not being idiots. Because, this guy's turned up with a fake arm, presumably a prosthetic limb, and gone, well, they'll never spot that. And it's like, no, come on, mate, all right. But what do you make of this? Would you ever consider doing anything like this? I mean, Diego Maradona, of course, famously had a fake bit of his anatomy, didn't he, to avoid a certain type of test?
Interesting. Yeah. Don't get injected in that either.
Well, I don't know. He had a life.
Yeah. But there is absolutely no way that... surely no one else is getting away with it. I know what you mean. They only catch the ones, but... I read the report and the nurse was saying it suddenly felt cold and rubbery. Now, if it feels like that, then you shouldn't inject them and go on your way. You probably need to check to see if they're dead already. And you presume a nurse could spot this, so surely no one else is getting away with it. If you believe that vehemently that you shouldn't have a vaccine, don't have it and suffer the consequences of the freedoms you wouldn't have.
But I think we can't expect nurses to just go tugging on arms to pull them off if they feel a little bit cold and rubbery, because there could be somebody with poor circulation who's just getting yanked out of their chair.
Yeah.
I think it'll wake them up a bit, won't it?
I mean, the big question here really is, given the restrictions that are going on in Italy at the moment, this guy clearly felt as though he didn't want the vaccine, for whatever reason that is, whatever. But the restrictions that you were living under were so bad that he felt he had to fake getting it. And we're seeing what's happening in Europe at the minute, and let's be honest, it has gone a bit nuts, to be fair, I think, with Austria, you can take your pick, Greece has got huge issues, Slovakia's got huge issues, the Netherlands, they open fire on protesters there. You've got what's happening in Germany, mandatory vaccinations in Austria, although, not for the first time those two countries have been a little bit authoritarian, is it? But, do you think that maybe some of these restrictions are a bit too draconian, or are you're not bothered?
I mean, it doesn't impact me. I've both had the COVID and 2 shots. I mean, I'm super immune. I think that means I can't get pulled over for speeding. I don't really know what it means, but no.
Unless you're dressed as Santa.
In which case I should do, because the beard. But yeah, all you need to do is tell people that if you're being vaccinated, as long as you've got cross keys, it doesn't take. And then, there's no problem. I could put that on the internet and claim it's true. But no, you're right. Yeah, I'm not in favour of the idea of mandating having vaccines. It's a choice, and I wish people would make that choice.
Are you concerned about that it might be coming our way?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at what's happening in Australia and Europe, you've got police, beating people in the street for the good of their health.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And, I think I'd be more inclined to want the vaccine if they didn't beat me up to have it. If I walked into a car showroom and they were like, you must get this car, I'd be like, whoa, I don't want to go into this car showroom anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is a massive concern, because now I'm wondering, I've had to start having these conversations with myself about where do I go? Where's my bolt hole? And that used to be Australia, I thought. Thought the Aussies all seemed pretty loose. I've met a lot of very nice Australians. I like to look at the place. I mean, it is full of quite poor cricket and things that want to kill you. But apart from that, I was OK with the idea. I've got no idea where I go now. I don't know where it is. Most of Europe's become pretty totalitarian. Australia's gone absolutely bonkers. New Zealand has as well. I mean, where do I go? I can't go to Botswana anymore either, apparently.
Is it Florida?
I'd go to Florida, probably, yeah. Or Texas.
Yeah.
Maybe Texas.
I mean, still things that want to kill you, but they're just the people.
But they're the people.
guns.
But you know what you get. You know what you get there. As long as I don't hang out near a primary school, I'll be fine. So yes, absolutely. Well, look. Anyway, right. Look, ladies and gentlemen, after the break on Free Speech Nation, there's still loads coming your way. We're going to be discussing whether it's time to rename streets and pubs that bear offensive or outdated names. So make sure you tune in for that.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK is looking mostly cloudy, with a band of rain pushing eastward, followed by sunshine and showers. Let's take a look at the details. A damp and cloudy start to the day in the southeast, with rain and drizzle spreading eastwards in the morning. This will be followed by brighter spells and blustery showers. Across the southeast, a dry but cloudy start, though rain will move in from the west throughout tomorrow morning, with heavy outbreaks at times. Across Wales, it will be a wet morning with outbreaks of rain and drizzle, some turning heavy, becoming drier and brighter into the afternoon. A cloudy start across the northeast of England, with a band of rain pushing eastwards through the morning, with a chance of some hill snow and heavy bursts of rain at times. It will be mostly dry but cloudy at first across northeast England, though rain and drizzle will move in from the west throughout the morning, with some heavy outbreaks, particularly over high ground. A wet start to the week across southern Scotland with rain and hill snow. This will clear to the east later tomorrow and followed by bright spells and blustery showers. After tonight's rain clears to the east, there will be a mixture of bright spells and blustery showers across Northern Ireland tomorrow morning. These showers will be heavy at times. A generally unsettled start across the UK with outbreaks of rain for most and hill snow in the north at first. And that is how the weather is shaping up during tomorrow morning.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody, to Free Speech Nation. Now, street names in Sheffield that perpetuate racism will not be replaced despite the strong feelings of residents. This is according to the City Council. Now, it follows a review which involves Sheffield Council, Sheffield Museums and the University of Sheffield and Sheffield Hallam University, and was presented to the Race Equality Commission earlier this year. So the review found that there are features across the city which perpetuate racist, outdated and uncomfortable messages. This includes Canning Street, named after George Canning, the former Prime Minister who campaigned against freeing slaves, while Gladstone Road is named after William Gladstone, obviously, another former Prime Minister whose father was one of the world's biggest ever slave owners. Here to discuss, along with my panel, is Benjamin Loughnane from the Bow Group. So thank you very much for getting involved. Now, what's your take on this? You must be able to see why it offends some people.
Yeah, I just think that after a certain point, you know, we need to just say, look, this is history, and you see these names and stuff, and you just sort of leave it alone. You go, OK, there's good bits, there's bad bits, but that is the story. That's what happened. That's how things progress through time. And, yeah, we've moved on. Some of those things were bad, but they're not still happening. If they were still happening, yeah, sure, I'd say maybe we should do something about this. If we still had slaves in Sheffield being traded in a market every week, we might say maybe we should do something about the problem with slavery in Sheffield. But there doesn't seem to be a problem with slavery in Sheffield at the moment, so maybe just let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah, OK, fair enough. I mean, I suppose another way of looking at it is that actually it helps educate people that this was part of Sheffield's history. This was a part of our history as a country. This was a part of some of these people's history. And if those names go and you just replace it with, like, Bobbins Road or something, then it doesn't matter anymore, does it?
Well, exactly, yeah. You educate people by keeping it there so that you can say, look, this is there because of this, part of history. And, you know, I don't know, put a plaque next to it. Say, you know, this road is named after this guy who was a bit of a rogue, and we don't like him anymore.
Bit of a rogue.
Bit of a rogue. Bit of a ruffian.
Bit of a rogue, one of the world's largest ever slave traders.
What a scallywag.
Bit of a rogue.
What was he like?
What's he like? You know, he was a nice guy. He was fun at parties, but goodness me, the stuff he did pass out.
Slaves.
Yeah, gosh.
Too many drinks.
But seriously though, look, I suppose some people might think if they found out that they come from a family that were victims of the slave trade and they live on this road and they've got to walk past this sign every single day. Do we care about their feelings?
I call it a victory. You live on the road where he was, you know, he's no longer, that trade is over, you know. In a way, you've won that battle already. I don't know.
Do you think, just in a wider point, and I mean, look, it's important to say as well, isn't it, that we're not exactly the, you know, it's an all-white panel, isn't it? We're not necessarily the target audience.
You don't know how I identify.
Well, no, I can guess so. But yeah, no, we're not necessarily the target people who will be, you know, offended by this stuff. Of course we wouldn't be, but, you know, I am concerned at a wider sense of cancel culture, you know. There was people who, I think, occupied a town hall because I think it had Lord Nelson's statue on it. And they occupied that for 190 days, demanding this statue went, which it hasn't yet. And I thought, get a job. You know?
Yeah. No, it is ridiculous. It just feels like these people have too much time. They're going back like 500 years to find things to be annoyed about. Maybe you don't have enough things in your actual day-to-day life to get annoyed about. Most people actually have real problems to deal with, and they don't have time to go back 500 years to find problems. But I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Well, maybe. I don't think it's that. I'm going to throw it over now. I've got two esteemed panellists here as well. Steve, you go first if you want. What was your view on this? Should we just do this? Should we just get rid of them? Why do we care if they're still there? Is it not easier for us to just remove these signs?
No, because then it never ends. The problem is it would be then defined by someone being offended by it. Who gets to work out whether someone's offended? It's an individual choice. Then, you know, to what level of scrutiny should you have to go? That you could find one person in the whole nation who doesn't like a particular street name, therefore we must change it. Whereas I'm not incredibly sure that it is a great teaching aid. I think it's almost the other way around, that just because a street's called something, no one cares of its backstory. And if you have to Google something to work out why you should be offended, then you're probably not offended.
Well, if you surveyed every single person on Gladstone Lane or whatever it was called, I very much doubt they'd all have a clue about who he was or what happened. But Leo, your views?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're already rolling a dice when you order something from Deliveroo anyway. So if we start changing street names and house buildings, oh my God, I'm never going to get my Chinese meal, if I'm allowed to say that. It's ridiculous. Where does it end? And the actual pub they're talking about in Linlithgow in Scotland, it's not named after anything to do with the slave trade. It's named after a greyhound.
Yeah.
Which, as far as I know, the greyhound had very progressive views on transgenderism.
Well, this is exactly one thing I want to come back to shortly. You've slightly jumped the gun because we are going to be coming back to exactly what you're alluding to there. I was going to say a particularly offensive pub name, but I mean, it's that question of, well, what are you offended by and is it offensive at all? But we'll come to that shortly. But there are a lot of road names, just to begin with, up and down the country. Black Boy Lane, for example, was one that I believe was changed, actually, recently. You know, do you not think... Well, I mean, that was presumably, you think that was out of order as well, do you?
Well, Black Boy Lane, I think, was actually named after the, one black slave boy or servant in the castle, and it was almost an honorific. It was, you know, he was so beloved in the town that when he died, they named a road after him. I don't think that's them saying, you know, oh, we hated this one person in the town who was black. It was quite the opposite. It was we welcomed him into the community, and, you know, obviously it's a part of history. But, you know, would he want it to be renamed? You know, there's no way of asking him. I think just leave things as they are.
Do you think there's a potential for a wider societal thing here now? If we create a situation, I'm certainly worried that we're already there, by the way, which is that you cannot see or hear anything that causes you any offence whatsoever without wanting to rip it down, cancel it, tear it down, never look at it again. I should be completely blinkered from anything that could cause me any kind of visual or verbal offence. We can't live in that world, can you?
No, we'd have nothing left anyway. I mean, you know, because everything can be... You can find offence in literally anything.
Sometimes I'm offended by myself.
Yeah, I wake up sometimes.
I look at it and go, goodness me, Patrick, what was that?
Yeah, you wake up after a heavy night.
Steve in front of you, Fred Eagle.
Oh, it's the third time, you know, and I think, no, sometimes I have to cancel myself.
Yeah, no, I think people should cancel themselves more often, and then we can all die and it will all be over. We won't have to have this conversation anymore. Great.
Well, yeah, I had somebody came to see my show in July. A comedy club just received a complaint email about me. Somebody came to see my show in July, said in the email, we saw him in July, he was horrific. I came back to see him in October, he was still horrific. Why did you come back? That's the question I want to know.
There is an option of not going back.
Yeah,
Don't
these
have to buy a
people,
second
I'm
ticket.
expecting to see them again tomorrow when I do my show at 6:30 p.m. at Top Secret Covent. You can pick tickets on the website.
So where was that?
Good stuff. All right, well, look, we are going to now get to exactly what Leo was alluding to before. So, well, very shortly we are anyway. Thanks for a moment, gents, obviously. I'm keen to get your thoughts on this next story as well. It is a little bit of a controversial one, so a shock horror. So as a warning to those at home that there is a phrase I'll be using in this story that is very offensive. Well, can be seen offensive, I suppose. But if we didn't say what it is, then we couldn't possibly ever cover it. So now, almost 6,000 people have signed a petition calling for the brewery Giant Green King, apparently, to abandon plans to rename a pub in Scotland. The boozer, which is in, how do I pronounce it, Leo?
Linlithgow.
There he is called the Black Bitch. Right, now, it's genuinely named after a greyhound who also features on the town's coat of arms, and people born in the town are actually known as, and refer to themselves as, black bitches. So, Green King say the name has racist connotations, but not everyone in...
Scotland.
Agrees, as our Scotland reporter Davey Donaldson has been finding out. Take it away, Davey.
The Black Bitch in Linlithgow is one of the oldest pubs in Scotland, dating back hundreds of years. But a planning application has been submitted to the local council by owners Green King to physically change the name written on the pub.
I think it's a nonsense. That's it, short and sweet.
Why?
Just because it has no relevance to the people being upset by the name. It's been there historically, and I don't really see why it needs to change at all. That's my opinion.
What do you think about this proposed name change?
I think it's utterly ridiculous. It's named after a dog, which is probably behind you.
Yeah, I mean, and also there's a huge history in the town, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm not local, but yeah. So, you know, you can't change everything just to not offend people.
The Black Bitch name is associated with the town's coat of arms, which portrays the legend of a greyhound who saved his master when he was sentenced to starve to death on an island in Linlithgow Loch. Over 5,000 people signed a petition to retain what they feel is part of the town's history, but others feel the time has come for a change.
It's probably time for a name change, because ever since I started coming here, because my grandchildren live here, I have only referred to the name of this friendly tavern as the BB, and I'm reluctant to use the name because of what the implication is for friends where I come from in northeastern United States.
And a lot of people here, they'll obviously share a different view due to the history.
I understand that, and I would miss the mythology of this town that would be affected, but I think times change, meanings change, and the implication of the meanings of words change, and we have to recognize that.
Personally, I think they should change the name because it's not ethnically correct. My partner is Zimbabwean, and when she moved into this town 7 years ago, she was shocked to see a pub being called the Black Bitch.
West Lothian Council say they've not received any application, and it's unlikely that advertisement or listed building consents would be required to change the name of a private venue.
Well, Green King have commented. Operations Manager for Scotland, Paul Wishart, says, "We know that the name was not originally racist or offensive, but its meaning over time has changed. The grouping of those two words together can be deemed in today's language as racist and offensive."
Right, I think we can give it up for Davy Donaldson there. I mean, that was fantastic. Well done. Oh. Yes, all right. Well, it was interesting. He finished there on something, didn't he? He said, well, the meaning of these words have changed over time. Well, they haven't, because the meaning of the colour black hasn't changed and the female word for a dog hasn't changed either. So it is still the same, isn't it? I mean, look, do you think we should just rip this down and call it just something else?
I think it's ridiculous. That was the best report I've ever seen in my life.
That's one of the best, yeah.
I think that must have been written by Chris Morris.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely brilliant. But no, I think it's ridiculous. What are they renaming it? The Black Hound? I think they were going to go Black Dog, but that might offend people with depression. So we can't do that one. But no, it's just ridiculous. Just leave history, again, leave history as it is. It's a name, and people walk past it, and they have a little laugh and go, oh, that's funny. Clearly, there's an original meaning, which has changed, because people know that. They can do that process in their head.
Well, my understanding was, as well, that there was some attempt at contact of the person who started a petition at this. And our attempt went like this. We said, look, we would like to speak to you because you started a petition of which 6,000 people have signed now to change this pub's name because it's offensive. And the person in question hadn't ever been to the pub, hadn't ever been to the area that the pub was in, just heard about the name of the pub and decided that they were so offended on behalf of every single person there that they had to start a petition. And Leo, that's the world we live in now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think social media and the internet has made it too easy. It's removed the barrier to entry. I mean, in the 70s and 80s, if you wanted to protest against something, you actually had to make a placard, get the bus to the town, stand outside it with a placard saying, down with this sort of thing. And then, you know, I respect that. There's some effort, there's some personal jeopardy involved. Now anybody can just, you know, create an online petition in 2 clicks of a mouse and yeah, send it round and pretend to be offended on other people's behalf just to get some some sort of attention and fill their dull, empty, meaningless lives.
Well, there you go, and that's Leo then. So, do you think we should change his name? I mean, look, I suppose, maybe someone... again, it's important to say we're obviously not necessarily the target market for offence here, are we, the people on this panel? But, perhaps somebody who was black, who went to that area, might just, think, gosh, this is deeply offensive, and we should stop that from happening, should we?
But then there's a reason to find out you shouldn't be offended.
Yeah.
You do a little bit of research. I mean, the local, even not the local.
There's a massive statue of the big black bitch there.
Yeah, that's going to help, isn't it, to explain? So I think
it's a phrase I never thought I'd say on national television.
Just going to lift that clip from YouTube and use that for you. But the only good reason would be if they've noticed customs down because no one wants to call to make a booking or something. But actually, I also think I feel sorry for people in the local area who are having that conversation or a row in a couple where the partner's saying, you never take me anywhere, why don't you put some effort in, why don't you make some booking, where are we going tonight? And you just get to go, I'll tell you where we're going tonight. And they get to use the name of the pub. And that's, we're back to the passive-aggressive way of winning arguments, but no, there's no genuine reason to change it.
No, I'd be inclined to agree as well. So in the last couple of years, Greene King have actually changed the names of pubs called the Black Boy and the Black's Head, apparently. So is this different because of his historical connection between the name of the pub and the name of the...
Linlithgow.
Linlithgow, there we go. Benjamin, what do you think?
Yeah, and I think it is different. It's certainly, in this case, it's not even the black part they're changing. They're keeping the black part, so it's clearly not the racial bit that's the issue. It's the word bitch, which is obviously a term for a female dog. It's got two meanings. It's used as pejorative, but it has an original meaning. And I think, just leave pub names the same. There's so many pubs across the country which you'd have to change the names of. And again, as you said, it would just make life really confusing. You said, oh, we're going to go meet down at the, I don't know, the Dancing Feminist or something, which has been renamed. It's like, oh, what?
I think there's one in Islington.
Wasn't it? Yeah, wasn't that the Saracen's Head before? Oh, we can't say that anymore. But it just makes going to the pub really confusing, especially after a few pints. If it's the fifth pub you're going to that evening, and someone tells you where to go, I have no idea where that is. Yeah. Just leave things the same. Stop making trouble for no reason.
I mean, it will come as no shock to anyone that I love the pub. I say this regularly. I've got it on a T-shirt. Je suis pub. And, I would be there now if I wasn't paid to be here, frankly. And this is an issue, I think, that goes underreported. We are losing our pubs, right? There are loads of pubs that have shut as a result of the lockdown, are still banging trouble. They're not safe at all. And if a community loses its pub, then I think that's a massive issue. Now, OK, they're saying they could just rename it, but pubs should just be left alone. Pubs are kind of like a sacred place. Well, why do we have to change the name of the local pub in a rural part of Scotland? It's a big part of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if this was coming from the residents of Linlithgow themselves, who were saying we need to move with the times, we've got to rename the pub, then fair enough. But it's not. It's somebody who's fired off a complaint email to Greene King who've panicked, or potentially they haven't panicked. They've said this is an opportunity to get our pub in the papers, get some free publicity right before Christmas in the busy period. It's almost like the Greg's vegan sausage roll furore all over again. It's just designed to get eyes on the pub. In which case, it's great. But I mean, as somebody who makes a living performing in licensed venues, it's so sad to see them closed down. These are the heart of the community where people can come and meet face to face and discuss things in a healthy way instead of arguing on Facebook.
Yeah. Stevie, you strike me as more of a bistro kind of man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I've gained a bit of weight since last time we met. It's been a lockdown. I don't know if you've heard about it. I mean, part of me does think, normally, if a shop closes down, we all start to say, oh, market forces, market forces. I guess there's a bit of that in there. And we do, as a nation, have a lot of pubs. The fact that there was that stat of 14 pubs a week closed down.
Yeah.
And a couple of years later, you think, how have we not run out yet?
Yeah.
And you think of any town, it's because you've got 13 of them around the main high street.
Well, I used to live in a place called Kendal in Cumbria, and it was, for a while, I'm assuming it still is, was known as the only town in the UK where you could see a pub from every other pub. Right, so it was incredible. But actually, loads of people up there have crippling drink problems, and there's a reason for that, isn't there? Well, look, thank you very, very much, everyone, getting in touch with all of us on this. GBViews at GBnews.uk as well. We can always go to a bit of them. But Benjamin, thank you very much for stepping into the studio, stepping into the fray. Benjamin Loughnane, ladies and gents. Well, still to come on Free Speech Nation, we'll be taking even a look at some of the stories that have created a storm on social media, and I'll be giving my verdict on your unfiltered dilemmas with the help of my panel. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we will save your lives.
watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody, to Free Speech Nation. Now, every week, we dedicate this part of the show to the world of social media, the cesspit that is, and usually the stories that are threatening to cancel someone or something. So first up, this gem from Piers Corbyn and friends. I think we saw this before, but just have a look at it.
Do you know, wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. Wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. Wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. Wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. Wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers.
Right, well, there's that, isn't there? That's certainly something. I feel a little bit sorry for the other people on the tube. I mean, to me, it's not the what they're saying, which is that they obviously don't like the idea that they've now, supposedly anyway, got to wear masks on the tube, although part of me thinks their argument for a totalitarian regime is slightly undermined by the fact that no one's challenging them for not wearing a mask on the tube at the moment. But, you know, hey, there we go. I mean, it's all a bit weird. I feel a bit sorry for the other people on the tube, really.
I didn't see any other people in the tube.
Just ones at the back.
I think as soon as Piers Corbyn got on, they all got off.
Yeah, potentially. What's your view on a mask? We've got some members of the audience here in masks, for example. Do you think they're heroes?
Well, to use their same comparison, if someone were to fart at my face, I'd be grateful for the trousers.
Yeah.
So, well done. I mean, they undermine their own point with that. I mean, firstly, the guy who starts just on his own, the soloist, where he's saying, like, wearing a mask with a level of desperation in his voice that makes me think he's done more than fart.
or maybe, you know, I could relate to that given my first monologue, I think, this evening. But no, look, where are you on the mask debate? Because personally, I don't like wearing a mask and I don't want to, and I understand what the law is and that you can get fined for not wearing it. And I think that's all I'm legally allowed to say on television now if I don't want to end my career. But where are you on the mask stuff?
I don't wear a mask because I'm exempt. Because if you say you're exempt, you don't have to wear a mask. That's literally the system. It's amazing. So actually, I got stopped. I got stopped at Euston Station. This policeman was like, you know, excuse me, sir, where's your mask? And I was like, I'm exempt because masks give me anxiety. Because anxiety is a thing that's got to be eliminated now for some reason. It used to be a valid emotion that was useful to feel. Stop you jumping into the sea with sharks or putting your pronouns on an email.
Wonder where you were going with that.
I'm getting away with them. Yeah, the policeman was like, you know, where's your mask? I was like, mask give me anxiety. And he said, well, where's your lanyard saying that? I was like, lanyards give me anxiety as well. So, yeah, I don't see what the problem is. Just say you're exempt. Nobody ever questions you, and then you don't have to wear a mask.
I must say, Paddington, round the corner from here, I was there on Friday, and I was walking to the train. You have to go back. There's a little smoking area, there's the taxi rank. And that taxi rank, genuinely, was about 4 or 5 police officers, all maskless, by the way, genuinely checking whether or not people in the taxis. And I think, you know, people are still getting stabbed. People are still getting shot. Maybe they could go and have a look at them. But anyway, we're going to be moving on from that now. Now, is it ever right to slap a reporter's backside? Go on, Liam.
No? My hand's not big enough.
Oh, there it is. Right, well, anyway. Greta Beccagaglia, there we go, that's close enough, of Toscana TV, was talking to fans, she's been offended twice now, was talking to fans streaming out of the stadium after an Empoli beat Fiorentina last weekend, when footage appears to show a passerby moving an open hand towards her bottom before slapping her sharply. Take a look.
Tifosi della Fiorentina, volevo sapere un po' che clima c'è, soprattutto questa sconfitta, ragazzi. Scusami, non puoi fare questo, mi dispiace.
Dai, non te la prendere.
Bene.
I mean, it never ceases to amaze me, the fact that these people, what they don't understand there is that he's on camera. You know, I mean, that's all the evidence that you need, isn't it? This guy might be a bit of a wronger.
Unless he claims that he had a silicon hand. Just been to get his jab, didn't even realise. That's the only excuse.
Yes, essentially. I mean, it's a stupid thing. I mean, the guy's literally...
Yeah, and he's been fired or arrested or something now as a result of it, which he should be. I mean, that's a horrible, sort of demeaning, belittling thing to do, and it's, you know, that sort of attitude sort of bullies women out of positions. Yeah. So, like, my fiancée was a barrister, and she left because of the sort of, you know, sexual harassment and the anything with the power.
She left her job, or?
Yeah, left.
Oh, right, sorry. Yeah.
No, not because. No, she seems to enjoy the sexual harassment from me, which is delightful. But yeah, that sort of thing is, you know, there's no place for it, you know, not in unless you're in Afghanistan or something, you know, just you know, even there, even in Afghanistan, I think it's wrong.
Yeah, even in Afghanistan, someone would have looked and gone, that was a bit rum, mate. Yeah. Bang out forward. Anyway, right, the cricket season finished more than 2 months ago, but one brilliant video went viral again this week, and it's from a club game. So look, I've seen this, it's fantastic. You need to keep your eye on what happens to the batter at the far end of the wicket. All right, take it away. So as you can see there, he's chipped it up, the guy's dropped it, they've gone for the run out, he's then got run out, and he's angry, this guy. His game's over. His day's Bosh! Have a bit of that. His mate takes it well, to be fair, I think. I mean, I like the way no one from the other team cares. Look at that. The umpire doesn't care. Here's the other umpire wearing shorts, naturally, of course. I mean, there we are. Gosh, that is a bad day out. That is a bad day out for all concerned. I mean, yes. Have you ever done anything quite like that?
What, with a cricket bat?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, in a peak of anger, fit of pique.
I'm not a Cockney gangster. No, obviously don't throw. I mean, like tennis racket. You're already throwing a tennis racket into because they're so bouncy. They bounce around everywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
you could get the Queen in the face. But yeah, cricket bat. Don't throw a cricket bat into a crowd of players. You're going to hit somebody in the face, as we just saw.
Well, it does imply that his hand-eye coordination is probably not the best.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely aiming entirely the opposite direction. Yeah. Somehow managed to put enough spin on it, so maybe he should be a bowler. Because he whoops it right into the guy's face. Amazing.
Here we go. We can have a look at it again. Look, there it is. Well, I mean, he should have been caught out. He wasn't caught out. Then there's a miscommunication. He's run his mate out. Fair enough. And then there's a lot of shouting. It looks like there's some words exchanged, but you've got to feel for the guy. I wonder whether or not there was a little bit of a turn at the end there, you know. Well, I've looked at it a second time. I just wonder whether or not there was a bit like, you know, that split second when it's like, oh, John's just realised he's really messed up there now, you know. But anyway, right. So, ladies and gentlemen, now is the part where we talk through your unfiltered dilemmas. That's right. So, our first dilemma has been sent in by John. So, John says, and you can see it on your screens there now, the spoof Robert Dyer's Christmas ad has now got me wondering whether to buy a drill or an inflatable minion for my dad this year. What would you recommend? Well, I've been thinking about this. I thought, let's see what the good people of Robert Dyer's actually think about it, shall we?
Hi, my name's Marcus. I work at Robert Dyer's and I'm gay. I like going out with my friends and playing volleyball. I also like showing our gay and straight customers a funky range of our Christmas gifts.
Hi, my name is James. I'm straight and I work at Robert Dyer's. I like sailing, baking and showing off all our Christmas kitchen gadgets to our gay and straight customers.
I'm straight and I love shopping at Robert Dyer's.
I'm gay and I love shopping at Robert Dyer's.
I'm bisexual and I always find something I love at Robert Dyer's.
Look at this Christmas tree. It's perfect for a gay person or a straight person.
This drill would work a treat in a straight person's home or a gay person's.
Robert Dyer's, where gays and straights can buy drills and much, much more.
Oh, well done. Well done, Robert Dyer. That's a real effort. And look, there's 2 more weeks until Christmas, so I've got a feeling we might be seeing that video 2 more times, ladies and gentlemen, don't you? But I think it's a take on advertising culturally, isn't it? And well, that's my opinion. Anyway. They might just be having a laugh, to be fair.
No, I think it's a meta-satire, Starship Trooper-style satire on hyper-identitarianism in Western advertising. Or the alternative answer is they had £3.80 to make an advert. They didn't even spend it all.
Yeah, no. Well, I swear, £3.80 goes a long way in Robert Dyer, doesn't it? But do you think that our advertising has gone a bit too woke? Because I think that was obviously, that's not what I'm talking about specifically there, but every advert now, look, just appears to be littered with, you know, what you might describe as the modern family. It looks like the UN around every single kind of Christmas table that you've got. I'm thinking of the Sainsbury's advert, for example. You know, everyone's got to be of a smorgasbord of different sexualities as well. Can we not just advertise something?
But there's no harm, no foul in there being the families you're talking about. So, yeah, I mean, that advert is very different. Yeah. That now is relatively annoying, because now every time I go in Robert Dyer's, I have to turn up and be like, OK, there was one night when I was at university. But other than that, I didn't realise that's what you have to do before you can buy a kettle. But yeah, I don't think there's an issue with over-wokeness in the... But then again, I'm the defender of the woke, brought up for that.
You're the defender of the woke. You are human balance, which is fantastic for us right here, isn't it? But I'll tell you, because a lot of people do have an issue, don't they, with like the advertising. It's too virtue-signaling. Stop virtue-signaling all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so woke, I think things should be fair and representative. And we've got to understand that, you know, the UK isn't, you know, we don't live in a country that's got like 8% white people and everyone's gay. Most people are just white and straight, and that's how it is. So, you know, what's wrong with having those people represented in adverts?
The latest Carlsberg one, by the way, I don't know if you've seen this at home, but Carlsberg were internationally renowned for doing some of the best adverts that there were, right? And then now they've got a CGI seal swimming around a sea, and they say that if you buy a Carlsberg, they'll plant some seagrass. No man has ever gone to the bar and gone, which pint am I going to have today? Well, Carlsberg plants seagrass, so I'm going to go for that. It's never happened, has it? But anyway, right. Have we got another one here now? Is this another question? I hope. Yes, maybe. Anyway, we'll find out. I want to buy a Hoover for my wife for Christmas. It's definitely a question. Is this sexist? Leo?
I don't know if it's sexist, but it's a rubbish Christmas present. I mean, a Hoover. Oh, my God. I'd rather have some seagrass. I've never smoked it, but it sounds more fun than a Hoover.
Do you think your partner would be a bit miffed?
Well, I can't get one because you have to go into Robert Dyer's to get one, and they are getting sick of hearing the stories. Oh, the detail I go into. It's a terrible gift, isn't it? I mean, there's no two ways around it. Even if you need a Hoover, buy it before or after Christmas. Don't, no one wants that moment of unwrapping it going, oh, well, that's no sex in this relationship for you.
No, exactly. I should probably stop buying Hoovers, but anyway. Right, Fee on Twitter says, my office recently bought a fish tank and 2 fish, but nobody cleans it. Should I just take them home with me for a better life? What do we all think about that?
No, they'll die in your pocket. They're fish. They need to be in water. That's why they're in a tank.
Right. Fairground fish, I always felt very sorry for. Fairground fish.
They live at the circus. They got the best life of any. They got a better life than me. I'd love to live at the circus for free.
But they can't go on the rides. They just look at them.
Oh, yeah.
No.
But then they can't remember them. So every time, it's a waltzer. It's a waltzer. What a life. I'd love to be a fish.
I'm sure it could be arranged or something. Yes, anyway, is it acceptable to feed my children from the McDonald's drive-thru 7 days a week because it keeps my house tidy? Is there a name on that? That's an understandably totally anonymous message because otherwise child services would be round. What do you reckon, Steve?
Yeah, no, on all levels. The reason to do it isn't to keep your house tidy, and also don't do it even if you think of a different reason. There was that documentary, was it Super Size Me? I mean, it was a little more than a week, admittedly, but if you're doing it 7 days a week, it's eventually you're going to turn your kids into those kind of people you mentioned earlier on, the rotund people who you don't want to, you don't want to wear masks for.
No, exactly. Well, yeah, I didn't go that far, but yeah, no, actually, no, I did. And I meant it. But I think it's interesting because I never thought that anyone would be able to sue McDonald's for the fact that some of their foods aren't as healthy as salad, right? But people were. There was that really famous case in America, wasn't there, where someone ate McDonald's 3 days a week, every single day, 3 times a day, every single day for a week. And then when he got fat and got heart issues, he managed to sue McDonald's.
Right.
But, I mean, this is just nuts, isn't it? Can't you just take some personal responsibility for your own diet?
Yeah, people should take personal responsibility for their own diets. And, everybody knows, like, McDonald's is a metaphor for it. It's a widely used, word for poor health. And you shouldn't feed your children McDonald's 7 days a week, because it might keep your house tidy, but your car's going to be a wreck. And also, your children are going to have diabetes. I mean, on the plus side, they're going to be safe from paedophiles. But, yeah.
Well, apparently, I've just been told that some McDonald's are open Christmas Day. So you can go, if you really want, and have a McChristmas.
Who's going to slice the Big Mac?
Yeah.
That's the most depressing thing. Right after I've opened my Hoover, I'm going to go to McDonald's and have a McTurkey.
Well,
oh, my God.
I reckon if you bought her a Hoover, you'd end up eating your lunch at McDonald's.
Yeah.
That's how it
Then you could McHang yourself. I mean, what? Christmas isn't for Hoovers at McDonald's. It's for turkey, a weird bird we don't ever eat.
No, I did try live on air the McDonald's version, the vegan version of the Big Mac, which I think is called the McPlant. And I was desperate not to do a Piers Morgan, who obviously rather gratuitously pretended to be sick into a bucket after eating what is actually an all-right vegan sausage roll from Greg's. But I did put it in my mouth, and it tasted like someone had painted over the Sistine Chapel, right? You've got the Big Mac there, one of nature's greatest ever creation. Well, it's not even nature's greatest creation. Whoever invented the Big Mac should be knighted, should be exalted, and everything.
Invented by nature.
No, it wasn't. No, definitely
Evolution.
not. But yeah, well, in a way it has been, actually. In a way it has been. The
no
second-hand version of nature's Big Mac. And then you've got this thing, the McPlant, and I just thought it's a desecration of a national treasure.
But you can still buy the Big Mac.
You can
so
still
calm
buy.
down.
You can still buy the Big Mac. In fact, they did get me one that day so I could compare the taste of it, and then they had to throw it to an advert break because I refused to stop eating, unfortunately. the big one. But that's just very much
Did
me.
you send in that question?
Yeah,
That's why it's anonymous.
actually, yeah, that's me. Well, anyway, look, thank you very much, everyone who's been watching us, who's been part of our studio audience, everyone at home as well. Thank you for joining us here for Free Speech Nation. This was, of course, the week when Norway sent us our worst ever Christmas tree yet. People have threatened to cancel the Beatles over some cigarettes, and some bloke got part of a bomb stuck up his bum. What's not to love, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so much to my panel, the wonderful Leo Kurz, the wonderful Steve N. Allen, and, of course, to all of my guests this evening. You can now apply to be part of the audience. Details of how you do that are at the bottom of the screen right now. Andrew Doyle will be back from his holidays next week. I've been Patrick Christys. I hope you enjoyed the last 2 hours as much as I have. Next up tonight with Mark Dolan. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK is looking mostly cloudy with a band of rain pushing eastward, followed by sunshine and showers. Let's take a look at the details. A damp and cloudy start to the day in the southeast, with rain and drizzle spreading eastwards in the morning. This will be followed by brighter spells and blustery showers. Across the southeast, a dry but cloudy start, though rain will move in from the west throughout tomorrow morning. with heavy outbreaks at times. Across Wales, it will be a wet morning with outbreaks of rain and drizzle, some turning heavy, becoming drier and brighter into the afternoon. A cloudy start across the northeast of England with a band of rain pushing eastwards through the morning, with a chance of some hill snow and heavy bursts of rain at times. It will be mostly dry but cloudy at first across northeast England, though rain and drizzle will move in from the west throughout the morning, with some heavy outbreaks, particularly over high ground. A wet start to the week across southern Scotland with rain and hill snow. This will